Welcome to episode 28 of Motivating Mondays, a weekly podcast and YouTube series dedicated to help Canadian job developers and other employer engagement professionals develop the tools, resources, expertise, and network to excel in achieving sustainable employment outcomes for their clients or students. My name is Christian St. Cyr, National Director of the Canadian Job Development Network, and today we're looking at calls to end the use of temporary foreign workers in Canada. Is this even possible? And if so, how can we use the drawdown in the use of TFWs to help market our clients or students? Now, leaders are calling for an end of the use of temporary foreign workers, TFWs, and this is likely to increase the wages, working conditions, and skill levels of many of these jobs. There is an opportunity here to build an entire job development strategy around this transition, but we also need to consider that massive change brings unexpected outcomes. Politicians on both sides of the political spectrum have come out to call for an end to Canada's use of the International Mobility Program, more commonly referred to as the Temporary Foreign Worker Program. We have Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Federal Conservative Party, surprisingly in alignment with David Eby, the Premier of British Columbia's new Democratic government. Both are calling on the Prime Minister to scrap the program and address youth unemployment. Meanwhile, we have Prime Minister Mark Carney, who's rejected the notion and said we need a focused approach that targets the needs of specific sectors and regions. Well, those plans are already well underway. At present, temporary foreign workers and international students make up 7.1% of Canada's population, according to Stats Canada. Carney's government has already put in place policies so that temporary residents, the proportion of the population, will decline from 7 to 5% in the next few years. The only problem is, it doesn't seem to be working. Even though the Government of Canada has policies in place to eliminate TFWs in census metropolitan areas with an unemployment rate exceeding 6%, as of September 2025, the government had issued 105,195 permits compared to 109,310 in all of 2024. Now, the 2025 target is only supposed to be 82,000 for the whole year. This indicates the program has already exceeded its quota for the entire year by more than 20%. This is likely why we're seeing record high youth unemployment levels that have hovered around 14.5% throughout the summer. Should we or should we not have temporary foreign workers? Should we allow international students to study and work in Canada and ultimately apply for permanent residency? How important is the mix of immigration to Canada's future? These are extremely complex questions, which we've seen multiple changes to immigration in the past 2 years, which have had significant impacts already on our labor market. Public colleges and universities across the country have been devastated by the sudden drawdown of international students, both in terms of caps and increased visa challenges. Meanwhile, employers are struggling to stay on top of these changes while simultaneously dealing with the tariff impacts of an unstable trading partner in the United States. All of this change is creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and economic conservatism that is prompting employers to avoid any investment in technology or training or recruitment. For my part, I believe that TFWs and international students are an important part of our future labor market strategy and should be preserved in some form. Agriculture will be devastated without TFWs, mainly in communities that don't have a population to staff many of these roles. International students allow colleges and universities to deliver more affordable and more diverse curriculum to domestic students, as our population of Canadian youth is barely maintaining itself in some areas and actually falling in others. We don't have enough natural growth in population for colleges and universities to grow and innovate. Also, in providing vocational education in both English and French to international students, it provides us with a ready future labor supply where students have paid for their complete education and it hasn't been subsidized by taxpayers. Immigration is a critical component of our future labor market, and I'd love it if all of the parties in Ottawa were to get together and draft a multi-decade strategy that allows for stable growth in our labor market. But why would politicians want to give up something that they love to tear each other down over? I don't believe immigration should be something that limits employment outcomes for youth. This said, employers have abrogated their responsibility to hire young people and provide that first workplace-based training in what it means to have adult responsibilities and expectations. Perhaps some youth don't want to work, aren't looking, or have no sense of responsibility. But the research that I'm looking at suggests this is not the norm. Young people are looking for work. They're applying for dozens, if not hundreds, of jobs and getting very little traction with employers. Not all employers are utilizing TFWs, but those who do use it as their primary workforce driver. That is considering the cost of hiring TFWs. Pierre Poilievre has frequently referred to TFWs as being low-wage workers, suggesting that they earn less than Canadian workers. This is entirely untrue. TFWs have all of the same employment standards rights as their Canadian counterparts. According to Restaurants Canada, the cost of bringing in a TFW can be as high as $8,600 per worker. This said, TFWs do make up a majority of hospitality workers, do not make up the majority of hospitality workers, accounting for only 3% of food service workers. The vast majority of TFWs actually work as harvesting laborers, accounting for more workers than the next 7 categories combined. The following is a list of top jobs approved for temporary foreign workers in Canada last year. First, we have harvesting laborers. There were 62,740 of them. Then nursery and greenhouse laborers came in at 12,440. After that, we have cooks at 12,020. Then food service supervisors at almost 12,000. Food counter attendants, kitchen helpers, and related support occupations, close to 9,800. Transport truck drivers, 8,500. Construction trades helpers and laborers, 7,600. Livestock laborers, 7,300. Fish and seafood transplant workers came in at 4,900, followed by administrative assistants at 4,300. Light duty cleaners came in at almost 4,300, while retail sales supervisors came in at almost 3,300. Nurse aides, orderlies, patient service associates came in at 2,700, while laborers in food and beverage processing came in just over 2,700. And the last category was home child care providers, which was just 2,600. Now, as you watch the debate over TFWs and international students and going back and forth, don't lose sight of the fact that these programs have a huge impact, some good and some bad, for our broader labor market, and rash changes to them can have unexpected impacts. Had employers been denied the opportunity to bring in TFWs decades ago, they would have invested in more technology and more skills development that would have created higher skilled, better paid jobs for domestic workers, likely fewer of them. The reliance on TFWs limits innovation and skills development. Limiting the TFW program would also have brought about higher food prices and other forms of inflation. It also would have likely bankrupted some employers and possibly eliminated some agricultural industries altogether. This is the nature of the free market. Regardless of whether it is a complete abandonment of utilizing TFWs or a refocused approach as the Prime Minister has called for, it is clear that all parties in Canada are committed to being less reliant on temporary foreign workers. This creates tremendous opportunity for us in our communication with employers. Domestic workers, citizens, and permanent residents do not require flights or housing or complex government applications or renewals of those applications. These workers provide the opportunity to grow an employer's domestic workforce year after year. They already have an attachment to the community, so they are less likely to leave for a more attractive community. As you talk with local employers who've utilized TFWs in the past, ask them whether saving $8,600 per worker could be utilized in developing their own training and mentoring programs. Is it possible that an employer who's typically brought in 5 to 10 TFWs in the past could redirect those funds to hire an in-house trainer to bring their staff up to the levels of service and support that they expect of their staff? When you are placing individuals with employers, underscore the value of mentorship in developing good teams. Encourage them to pair their newest hires with their best performing staff to instill expectations of performance and contribution. Simply put, Youth unemployment isn't high because we've become too reliant on TFWs or international students. Youth unemployment is high because employers have failed to see the value of hiring young people. I hear people say this all the time. Young people don't want to work. The way the Canadian Labour Force Survey is gathered is to take feedback from people who say, "I am looking for work," to interviewers. Nearly 15% of young people being interviewed say they are looking for work and not getting anywhere. In our roles, whether marketing those hoping to find their first job or a recent immigrant or a young person who's graduating from college or university, we need to speak to the strengths and the potential of someone who is brand new to the job market. We need to market them based on what they can contribute rather than what they have contributed. And if you think about it, these young candidates may contribute far more than what a seasoned candidate can provide. Employers just need to buy into that philosophy as well. We are still in the launch phase of the Leaders in Job Development. We are looking to work with leading career development organizations such as yours to help highlight and promote their work in effective job development. We have 1 week left for organizations to sign on as charter members. All organizations that register as charter members by October 14th will benefit from the perpetual 25% discount on their membership. For more information, just go to jobdevelopment.org/leaders. Also, registration is now open for the Labour Market Year in Review workshops taking place respectively in British Columbia and in Ontario in late November and early December. We have a 20% discount for everyone who registers early. For British Columbia, go to labourmarketonline.com/LMI workshop. For Ontario, go to ontariolabourmarketonline.org/LMI workshop. Thank you so much for joining us. Please click on the like or subscribe button in your platform. Search for Motivating Mondays wherever you download podcasts. We'd also like it if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and or rate or review this podcast. Now, we do these sessions live and for free every Monday morning on Microsoft Teams. We have job developers and other employer engagement professionals from across Canada. It'd be so great if you could join us. Just go to jobdevelopment.org to learn more. If you have any questions, send me an email, info@jobdevelopment.org. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have an amazing week.